I want to feel like a priority, but sometimes I feel like I can't ask for anything. And even if you're violating our own agreements that we're making, you still do what you want. And I have to acquiesce constantly. Just like, whatever, what can I do? Oh, that's Nadine. She's just gonna do her thing.
I'm not pregnant.
And how are we feeling about that?
Pretty shitty. There's a lot going on. I think we're both, like, pretty raw today.
Yeah, it's been a hard couple days.
Yeah, it's not all, like, the pregnancy stuff. It's, like, the news and the, like, Trump memo.
Yes, I was thinking about you too.
I think that's really weighing heavy on both of us. It's just all these things, like, compounding. Even, like, this baby thing is, like, not anybody's fault. Like, I chose this life, but it's so hard. And I feel like I'm being punished all the time. Like, most of the time, I really don't let the news into my world because this is what happens. Because I don't understand, like, what that could look like.
Concretely in terms of your life, but you do understand something, which is that if you take it in, it poisons you, it shifts things inside. Well, I think just like with everything else, you have to be quite intentional about how you're taking this in. What about the pregnancy itself?
I started to get pretty excited. And it kind of felt like this was the most important thing to us, so, like, great. I can take all the other shit.
We didn't even get to go take a test. Like, I got my period. It's tricky. There's part of me that's, like, a little bit relieved because it's such a fucking crazy time.
Yeah.
And the other part of me is, like, devastated. Not even that I'm not pregnant, just devastated that our tries are so limited.
Yeah.
It's like a roll of the dice, and now we wait, and now we do invasive surgery. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding? Like, we don't get to just keep trying under the guise of, like, we're, like, not trying. Like, you know what I mean? We don't just get to keep rolling the dice. There's no dice on the table right now.
I don't think she's ever stopped the thought, like, this person's trying to make my life better.
Yeah.
Haven't I always made sure you were on top of stuff? Made sure you had insurance? So you could take care of things?
Yes. I wouldn't say that. I never thought that you were trying to, like...
Well, you make me feel like that.
You really feel like that?
Of course I feel like that. That's what I'm telling you.
I never knew that, Alan. Like, you've never expressed that, like, that you felt like
Because
that.
it's like, I just don't want to make a thing about anything. Like, my approach is
Right,
different.
but
Like, I just, like, tuck it away. Like, I don't say anything.
The business of tucking things away doesn't really work to sustain a real marriage.
But I think the way I've been handling it is that, like, I go into this disbelief that and I resent her for it, like, and I just don't.
Right, but then you grow increasingly miserable and resentful, not feeling good about yourself and resentful that your efforts are not recognized. And I assume that some of these behaviors just slip away and you start acting shady. They're almost like passive-aggressive ways of getting back at Evelyn for making you feel bad. Maybe even I'm gonna punish Evelyn unconsciously.
Maybe
Maybe.
it might be tied into that. Like it's almost just kind of like a, forget you kind of thing. Like I'm doing
You
my
make
own
me feel
thing.
bad. I'm
Yeah,
just
so I don't care about you or your feelings. Or maybe,
Yeah.
sure.
By operating this way, you weaken the relationship.
Yeah.
So you weaken it, and then it's harder to trust it.
I would have described myself to be a social drinker, and then it was a very highly functioning alcoholic.
But alcohol was your substance?
Yeah, alcohol is what took me down.
Keep going.
I would drink happy hour, and then it was 3 o'clock, and then it was a drink at lunch, and it progressed to then drinking while I was working, to being physically dependent on alcohol.
How are you feeling saying that?
It's scary. I mean, I've found myself in the hospital several times, not knowing really how I got there.
Because of intoxication?
Yeah, I was giving myself heart problems. There was a point when we were at the hospital and they wanted to take all of my blood out and do a blood transfusion in order to keep me going. My heart rate was
175, which was crazy. So then they started doing stuff to slow his heart down, and the doctor told him, was like, this is caused from alcohol. You can't drink anymore.
And I would go right back to
And
drinking.
he went back to drinking.
Right.
It's embarrassing. I have to live with it for the rest of my life, and
To live with.
just the challenge of every day of having to, to get through the day. And I mean, if you have a bad day, like
First thought.
like my first thought is have a drink.
Right.
It was my best friend,
Yeah.
and now I don't have it.
And you're available for a relationship.
I mean, I feel like I've finally been with Matthew since when he went to rehab.
Yeah.
I'm finally able to like talk to him and be with him and like share life together. Because before he couldn't even go through a day, like. But I knew it was there. That's why I didn't want to give up on this.
Before we had our first child, I had like a bunch of miscarriages, and I think for me that's kind of where it broke down.
But yeah, that was.
How did it go between the two of you, the miscarriage experience?
For me, I felt very helpless, and it was the feelings that she was having were unattainable for me. Like, I couldn't share in her suffering. And I can't believe that I wasn't there for her in that time. Where was I? Where was I? Maybe is a better way to say it. Where was I then?
You couldn't experience sort of the level of loss that Molly was experiencing. So you were kind of left behind, and you were left alone.
Yeah. And then when I got pregnant with our third child, Josh met someone and they became very, very close. And it came out that he was having an inappropriate relationship with her. And I was pregnant. That felt like the rug had been pulled out from underneath me. Half of me was like, I'm not gonna have this baby to spite you. The other half of me was like, I have to save my family. I can't bring in another child because there's all this chaos going on and this is the right thing to do. And then
It's like such a...
It was extreme. I did it at home with a pill. It was very painful. And then the doctor gave me Percocet. And then I got addicted to Percocet. And I crashed my car in a tree a block away from our house. Like, it was just a terrible, terrible time. It just feels like so fucked up. I don't know. It's just like we haven't really talked about it like this. We have not really talked about it.
Let's.
Well...
I was so angry at Josh because I then had to go through losing a child again, which was devastating and still is. And I feel so, like, dead.
Yeah. First of all, Josh, where are you?
I can't even believe that happened in our life. Like, I can't believe it happened. Choices that I made daily for at least a little while, directly led to a decision that we made to not have this child. Like, I can't wrap my brain around the fact that actually happened.
Can I just understand the choice that created the outcome is the relationship is the cause of the abortion?
Yeah.
That's how it lives between the two of you.
Yeah. And then I was like crying out for help, you know what I mean, with the Percocet, and then seeking someone who would hold fucking space for me outside of our marriage, but knowing that wasn't right, but I just wanted someone to hold some space for me.
I mean, this is the thing. It's like, how do we carry all this forward with us? Like, whether we have to carry it or whether we can leave it behind, or what? That's how I feel. I'm like, what do we do with this stuff that we?
In a way, at least part of what the two of you seem to be telling me, with all these words like dead inside, can we carry it? Do we leave it behind? I think there's part of it that has to do really with like the processing of all these like unborn babies. Miscarried, aborted, where does it live inside you, between you, a future that didn't happen, a past?
Yeah.
So it came up yesterday. While I was out with a friend, Nadine went to see one of her lovers without telling me. I felt that a boundary was crossed because there was no communication about her going to see them. And this isn't the first time a boundary has been crossed with this particular person. And so the primary thing I say when we're really not getting along and I'm really struggling to establish boundaries or feeling like boundaries are not being honored is to say, let's move apart.
You need to move out and let's move apart are very different energies.
Yeah, okay. You need to move out. It's been
my experience was a little different.
Tell me.
That person, they had gotten their period, they weren't feeling well. I asked them if they wanted weed. It was a literal 4-second interaction, like boom, boom, bye. Because I was so afraid of what it would create in the home. I said, hey, this is what happened. And then immediately, you need to move out. I mean, the energy was not calm and cool and collected. And mind you, I'm like in the bathtub. So like, I'm like trying to like have a conversation and trying to relax or whatever. So then it's just like this very intense conversation. And it even like the way it,
What happens in the conversation?
you know, I was like, my feelings are growing deeper and I express all that so I could understand why.
My feelings are
For the other person. We
more than that, there were very particular words that were said.
like.
I might be, like, it might be a love thing, you know, that I might be feeling. And then I feel like I can't even, I don't know what to do with myself, with how I'm feeling towards this person, what it's creating in the home.
What to you?
I feel like I'm a bad partner, I'm a bad lover, I'm a bad everything, and all I do is hurt people, and this is what I'm doing to her, and it was literally like going under the water because I felt like I had no place.
You had nowhere to go where
Yes.
you didn't feel Christine's feelings.
Yeah. And sometimes it almost feels like you're responding in a disproportionate way because I feel like you don't like this process at all. Like you don't want to be open, you don't want to be poly, you hate it, and now like I'm just having to like sit here with you hating this relationship.
If I may. Sometimes I feel like I have to over-exaggerate my response to say, this is a boundary. We cannot keep pushing them. We cannot keep crossing them. I do not feel safe when that happens. And it's mostly based in fear and grief. I feel a devastating amount of grief. But
Tell me about that.
just in the sense of her having feelings for someone else. When you say, I'm not okay with open, that's no longer true. But I thought it would be more playful. I didn't think it would be as serious as it is, where we have committed relationships with other people. And whatever you have said, I say I might struggle with it, but I'm always like, okay, let's do it.
I was
'cause
also
love you.
concerned that if I were to do that, you'd be like, okay, well, you're not going to see them.
I'm not
the
a
next
crazy
day.
person.
Christine. No, I don't think you're a crazy
But
person.
hold on. But let's say Christine says, if you're going to do this, if you want to go see her today or them today, I don't want you to see them tomorrow. What is the problem with that?
I think I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Okay. So
And that's a
there's-
theme of our relationship, I feel like. I want to feel like a priority, but sometimes I feel like I can't ask for anything. And even if you're violating our own agreements that we're making, you still do what you want. And I have to acquiesce constantly. Just like, whatever, what can I do? Oh, that's Nadine. She's just gonna do her thing.
Can I
Yeah, please go.
ask you to pause for a second? You said a lot, meaningful stuff. First of all, how are you feeling just hearing it?
I feel like when you tell me you want structure and predictability, I'm like, sweetheart, that is, not only has that not me, that has never been me. I've always been like very upfront about that. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. You know, it's just this kind of thing that I've noticed about myself. It moves a lot. And not,
What was it like as a little person, as a young person?
I don't know.
You don't know because you don't
I don't
remember?
really remember, and what I do remember, I was just really chaotic and unhappy.
What was the chaos early on?
So my parents divorced, they remarried, they each had 2 more kids at the same time when I was 10. That totally disrupted my, that upended many things. And so I felt like both of my families had a family, and I was not part of either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that anytime something was wrong in one family, they would say, go to the other family. It seemed just like that.
So kind of displaced,
Yes.
homeless.
Oh, emotionally, just totally discarded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry I said you had to move out.
What?
Sorry I
it's
said you
okay.
had to move out. How terrible. Yeah, I'm just like being your parent again.
Yeah. And I feel like I can't escape.
Oh, man.
You can't escape.
Feeling unwanted, feeling like, God damn, like if I feel a touch of like someone doesn't want me in this space, they'll just set me off. Not in like an explosive way, but just like I'll leave. I don't want to be there. Especially when I don't know what I'm doing. I do not know what I'm doing. I don't know. I feel like so many people are trying to be open and polyamorous and all these things, and I don't know how to navigate it.
So I guess one question, what is motivating the two of you to be together?
Okay. I love everything that she brings to my life. I mean, totally as if she took, like, as if I was like this, and then she gave me glasses, and I was like, I felt like I could see the world. And there's no one I'd rather talk to. There's no one I'd rather bounce ideas. Like, you know, it's just really rich and, like, deeply spiritual and connected. And, like, I feel that, like, deeply in every cell of my body. Like, there's no mistake about that. And I feel like she's supposed to be my life, or I want her to, at the very least, be my life in a long-term way.
Mm-hmm. How are you two?
Well, I feel great.
No, we're good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was gone for a week, and he came back yesterday.
I missed him, for sure.
He did. He was like all lovey-dovey in the text messages. He was saying all of this nice stuff to me that he don't be saying in person.
Oh.
I said
Like
one
what?
thing.
What you said?
When I was going to sleep, which was late, I messaged him that I'm like, you know, I really want to be the best version of myself, and I want us to be the best versions of ourselves because, you know, I want to marry you and I want to have a kid with you. And so I'm going to work towards that.
Yeah, he ain't ever told me that in person.
I just said in person, technically.
But to Orna. But it was nice. I woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I was like... But,
That's very sweet.
yeah.
I don't know, I just was like super emotional. And my introspection when I was there was, like you have said, like that you felt I'm ready for like pressure or a challenge or something.
Yes, I have said that several times.
And I've listened. Oh, shit. Like it feels like faith and love, if I can say that. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I want to be ready, you know? Like, I'm like uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good pressure, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Like, it feels great, and then it feels like not great, you know? Like,
Not great. Like you're afraid?
yeah, like I'm afraid. Yeah. I communicate none of this to him. And then I come back, and he's telling me about this one chapter he wrote in the book, and it was so similar. You know, it was so kind, I guess.
What was in it?
This power dynamic thing that we've been discussing. For me, it shows up in this negative way of him being controlling. And then I thought, well, he wants control because when he's in control, he feels safe. And him needing to create this safety comes from this drive. Like, I have to make something to make this life worth living. And then I thought about how he feels about me sometimes. And that maybe I'm too complacent and that I lack the sense of urgency. And I thought, well, that's really just me being at peace. You know, the real gift should be that I can show him how to see peace. And he can remind me.
Sorry.
He can remind me that I don't need to feel shame. I don't need to feel shame in wanting more. I'm like determined. And that's the whole purpose, really, like, of the book. This is a guide to how to survive a survivor because you're gonna love them anyway.
What's your reaction?
I don't know. It's just my brain. Like, it's...
What's it doing?
It literally is just telling me, like, wow, X, Y, Z is also true. You know?
What do you mean?
Like...
Like an expression of some kind of mistrust?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Oh.
I'm assuming that you're looking at him because you were offering him a nice gesture. And as you're saying, your mind had to, like, do something to it so it doesn't feel that good.
Yeah.
You argued with the gift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know I do that.
Mm-hmm. You can just take the gift and feel good.
No, I know. But it's, you know, it's a process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But just do it.
Yeah.